Hey guys, welcome back to the continuation of the last video where we're actually going to get our main character running and moving around the screen a little bit. So, in the last video, just to remind you guys, we got our hero idle animation over here where it's just one keyframe. And then we have our hero run animation where it's two keyframes, and we changed the samples to 10 because at 60 it was going too fast. So when you bring this down, spaces them out a little bit, makes it look nice and pretty. And what we're going to do in this video is actually get down to some of the logic behind all of the animations. So we're going to make a folder for our scripts, and we will just go into here, create a new script. And we'll just call this hero. Yeah, I'll just call it the hero script because that's what all it's gonna do. It's just gonna be related to the hero. And open that while I go into the animator and teach you guys, give you guys like a first look of this. So over here we have the parameters that all of these will abide by, and it's easier to explain as we go. So, like I mentioned in the last video, we're going to want our hero to go from idle to running. And let's close that. We're going to want our hero to go from idle to running. And to do that, it's control click on a Mac. I'm assuming it's right click on PC. We're going to make a transition from idle to hero run. And all you do is you just click on where you want it to go. And you'll notice this little arrow pops up. And if you click on that arrow, all this comes up on the right. Now, generally, we're going to want to unclick has exit time and fixed duration. The reason is, if you're standing still and you want your character to start running right away, having an exit time will delay that. And then fixed duration, well, we don't know how long we're going to be running for. So we unclick both of these. And then you'll see these conditions over here. And these conditions are actually these parameters. So, sorry. What we want to do is we need to figure out when we actually want our hero to start running. And the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to make a boolean and just call it is moving. And whenever is moving is true, we would want our hero to run, right? And then when it's not, we want him to stay still. So what we'll do is we'll come over to these conditions, and notice I just added the parameter by clicking this, and then we have all these different types. I'll get more into triggers later. It's not a standard data type like float and bool, but this is something specific to Unity that we'll get into probably in the next video, maybe if not 2 videos. But anyways, when is moving is true, we'll come over into these conditions to go from idle to run, and you'll notice that this popped up. And if there was more, so like if we say like, I don't know, int age, I don't know, you'll notice that age comes up over here and then it's greater than or less than. We'll get into that later. Again, just delete this for right now. Yes, don't need that. Okay. So, go back to is moving, and if is moving is true, then it's going to run. Similarly, if we want to go from run to idle, we're going to make a transition back. Got to take out the exit time. Got to take out the fixed duration because we don't know how long it's going to take. And we're going to say if it is moving is false. And it's as simple as that, guys. So you'll notice still nothing happens because we actually haven't done anything programmatically to actually get our character running. And that's what we're going to do right now. So notice when we actually made our animation over here in our inspector, we got an animator. And the first thing the very first thing we're going to do in our script is we're going to get access to this animator right here. And how we do that is it's the exact same way that we get access to a rigid body. So, what we're going to do is say animator equals, or we'll just put a semicolon, and then in start. So once the game starts to run, this is the very first thing that's going to happen. We're going to say animator equals get component animator, like that. And you notice it's the exact same thing we did for a rigid body, and we actually have to do it for a rigid body too. So rigid body RB equals get component rigid body 2D. Alright, so right now we have the animator and the rigid body from our hero. And I'm just going to attach the script to them before I forget, because it happens a lot. So now, yeah. So what we want to do is we want to change is moving from false to true. And it's actually very simple. We're going to do it the same way that we got our character moving last time. We're just going to add a separate line, right? Remember we got the balls moving and we would change the velocity on the rigid body. We're going to do that exact same thing. So we're going to set a public float speed, and let's just make it, here, let me look at this really quick at our scale. Let's make it like 0.5. Let's make it 0.5, just see how that goes. It doesn't really matter, we can always change it. So, 0.5 F. Remember to put that F at the end of the float. So, if input.getKey is key code .d, this will move right. I'll just put in a comment. Moves our character right. We're going to want to change the velocity equals a new vector 3. And what we're going to want to do is do speed. And then remember last time when we wanted our character to jump, how we just originally we set it to 0 when we didn't want our character to jump. If we know we're going to want our character to jump, we could just do rb.velocity.y. And since it's 0, as of right now, it doesn't really matter. It's essentially the same thing as saying 0, but this just covers us when we actually get our character jumping, so we don't have to come back and fix it again. And now, if our character's moving right, he should be running, right? And now would be a good time to set is moving equal to true. And to do it, it's actually very simple. So we're going to want to access this animator. So we'll say animator dot set, and then you'll notice that they have the set bool, set float. They have set trigger and set integer too. So we're going to set the bool, and then int ID. What we're going to do is we're going to access this one, the string name. So we named our parameter is moving, comma, and we want to set that to true. And now what's going to happen is pretty much what we just did is we accessed this animator, right? We went in and told it to set the boolean is moving to true. And that's when we're holding down D. And now let's see what happens. There's going to be an issue that's going to be pretty obvious to begin with. So it'll start out fine once it actually decides it wants to play. Okay, so it'll start out fine, right? This is what we're used to seeing. Click D, and he starts walking, right? And now I'm not clicking D, and he's just still walking. You see how that's an issue? The issue is that we never set is moving back to false. So if you're not holding down anything, is moving should be false, because that way you're not moving. Is moving. You also have to make sure to type it in exactly the way. If you typed it in like this, it wouldn't work. You have to make sure to do capitals, everything. So now, and let's tweak the speed a little bit. Let's just make it 1. Let's see how that looks. So he's looking a little slow. Alright, and we got our guy moving. There we go, and then he stops. It's like that. Doesn't that look good? I think he looks good. And yeah, so what I want you guys to do for the next video is, so we want him to be able to move right and left, not just right, because how boring would that be if your character can only move right? So I want you, with whatever sprite you guys, with whatever sprite sheet you guys got, I want you to get him moving right and left. So he should be able to move right and left with the same animation. You shouldn't be making a new animation for him to move left. And I'll give you guys a little hint in the code. Typically, it's easier to make a function over here. So add function to, and all you're going to want to do is just rotate them. So you're just going to rotate the character. And if you're thinking of a Cartesian plane, right? You have the y-axis and you have the x-axis. To flip them over and for him to run the other way, you'd be reflecting them over the y-axis. So I want you guys to go do your research on that, learn how to flip someone or a sprite over the y-axis, and then get the velocity moving over here. I mean, we know how to do this. I'll even do it with you guys. So else if input.getKey is keycode.a. Oops, that should be capital. Oh no, the else deleted. Else, okay. We're just going to do this exact same thing, because we're still going to want it to be true. We're still going to want to set this true even if it's moving left, and this is just going to be negative speed. And let me show you what happens right now. So you'll notice that it's fine moving left or moving right, and then when we want to go left, it just looks like he's walking backwards. Why would we want our character to do that? Why would we want him to do that? So what I want you guys to do is I just want you to learn how to flip them over. And the easiest way to do it is you should just change the direction every time you click A or D, because the logic behind it is that when you click D, you're going one way. When you click A, you're going the other way. And no matter what, you're changing direction, right? So do that and just learn how to rotate the character. So if you made a void, I don't know why I did that. Okay, come on. Void rotate character. And then in here you should rotate the character over the Y axis. And then in this function you should call rotate character. And then you should do the exact same thing here. Right? And then while you're doing that, you might as well get the character jumping, right? So get hero jumping. And typically it's a good idea get a sprite sheet where they have a jump animation for Mario. It's simple. If you've ever played old school Mario, he just kind of like goes up, makes a little sound. Makes a little Italian plumber sound, and whoop-de-doo, you got Mario jumping. So I want you guys to do this for the next video, and it should keep you busy. You should have to not necessarily go digging, but you'll definitely learn some new stuff that I haven't brought up, and that's a good thing because I can't teach you everything, so you have to go out there and learn on your own, right? So make sure to like, comment, subscribe on the video, guys. Leave any comments on stuff that you want to see or stuff that you think should be improved on in the videos. My voice cracks are not an improvement. That's an opinion. Personally, I like voice cracks, but that's another discussion. So get this stuff done, and I will see you in the next video.